Today, we're diving into something pretty incredible. It's this idea that the Quran might be more than a holy book, that it could be a kind of cosmic blueprint, a guide to the physics of existence itself, all written in this symbolic language of light, water, and fire. So let's try and decode it together. So let's start with a really powerful question. What if the Quran contains a kind of cosmic physics, a hidden language describing the fundamental forces of our reality, all encoded through these elemental symbols: light, water, and fire? That's the core idea we are about to unpack. To even begin to answer that, you first have to understand the engine that drives this whole system. It's this foundational conflict, a tale of two incredibly powerful opposing poles. At the very heart of this code is this fundamental polarity. On one side, you've got Solomon, the king of light, who represents divine knowledge and authority. And on the other, you have Pharaoh, the father of fire, who embodies this arrogant ignorance and, well, total destruction. The key thing to get here is that they aren't just historical figures. They are cosmic principles, locked in this eternal opposition. Now, just look at how the father of fire is described. This verse isn't even about Pharaoh directly. It's about a figure named Abu Lahab, but he serves as this perfect stand-in for the principle itself. This reading sees it as a description of the fire element in action, a pride so blinding that its only possible end is to consume itself. It's a destiny of ruin, where all that earthly power and wealth mean absolutely nothing in the end. And then, in perfect contrast, you have the king of light, Solomon. When the queen of Sheba sees his incredible wisdom, symbolized by this palace of glass she thinks is water, she isn't forced to submit, not at all. Instead, she just recognizes a higher truth and willingly aligns with it. And that's the principle of light, right there. True knowledge doesn't need to bully you. It just inspires this voluntary surrender to what's real. Okay, so from these two poles, light and fire, we can now start to pull out the three core cosmic elements. And according to this interpretation, these are not just symbols. They are the fundamental building blocks of reality as described in the Quran. So first up, there's light. And in this system, light isn't just about seeing in the dark. No, it's the element of pure, unfiltered knowledge. It's the creative, divine command, that be that brings everything into existence. It's the absolute reality that Solomon represents. Next, you've got water. Water is the principle of mercy. It's the source of life, it's what purifies everything, and, this is crucial, it's a refuge. It is the only force that can actually cool the destructive heat of fire. And finally, we get to fire. Now, fire is this powerful, two-sided force. On one hand, it's the element of trial, of testing. It can burn away all the bad stuff. But on the other hand, it's the element of pride, of ignorance, and of arrogance, that all-consuming, destructive force of the ego that Pharaoh just perfectly personifies. And this table really shows you how these elements map onto actual figures and concepts in the text. You see Solomon and Belkis, they're aligned with light, with knowledge. Asiya, Pharaoh's wife, she embodies water, seeking refuge. Pharaoh, of course, is just pure fire. But look at the legal principles. This is so interesting. A call for witnesses is seen as an act of mercy. That's water. But assigning authority, that's seen as a function of justice, which is categorized as a type of fire. And that kind of makes sense, right? Justice, like fire, brings a decisive, consuming, and final judgment. Okay, this is where the whole model gets really, really dynamic. Because these elements and these figures, they aren't just static. This framework presents them as part of a divine circuit, a prophetic loop, where energy is constantly being transformed from one state into another. The core idea here is that in this divine economy, nothing is ever wasted. Not even the most destructive energy you can imagine. That raw, brutal fire of Pharaoh's ignorance gets channeled, recycled, and transformed. It's this perfect system that's designed to turn poison into medicine and death back into life. So, how does this incredible circuit actually work? Well, let's follow the energy. It all starts with the destructive fire of Pharaoh's wrath. But that energy is met by the prayer of his wife, Asiya, who seeks refuge in the cooling water of divine mercy. This mercy then finds its perfect vessel in the purity of Maryam's womb. And what does all this lead to? The birth of a word from God, a manifestation of pure light and knowledge. You see? From fire to water and then to light. It's a complete transformation. Asiya is the absolute crucial first step in this whole process. Think about it. She is literally inside the house of fire, but instead of being consumed by it, she does this act of cosmic alchemy. She turns away from the fire and towards its complete opposite, the principle of mercy. Her prayer is the thing that kicks off the conversion of destructive wrath into this plea for divine refuge. And Maryam becomes the vessel for that answered prayer. It's pretty significant that in the Quran, the verse about her comes right after the one about Asiya. Maryam represents ultimate purity, a sanctuary that's prepared to receive the divine spirit. So the mercy that Asiya prayed for is transformed into the life that Maryam bears. And there it is, the circuit is complete, from the intense heat of fire to the brilliant clarity of light. So you might be thinking, okay, why does any of this ancient drama matter to me? Because according to this interpretation, this cosmic blueprint, it isn't just about prophets and kings from long ago. It's actually a map of the landscape inside you, right here, right now. See, within every single one of us, the same exact polarity exists. On one side, you have the nafs. You can think of it as the ego self. It's rooted in the material world, and it carries that potential for fire, for pride, desire, ignorance. But on the other side, you have the ruh, the spirit. This is a spark of the divine, a direct line to the command, and it's aligned with pure light and knowledge.
So the whole journey of life, when you look at it this way, really comes down to a single ultimate choice. Are we going to do the hard work of purifying our nafs, of transforming it from a vessel of fire into this clear mirror that just perfectly reflects the spirit's light? Or are we going to let it be consumed by the flames of its own arrogance, becoming, in a way, our own inner Pharaoh?
And all of this brings us to the final unifying idea of this entire framework, the journey home, back to the source. You know that prophetic loop we talked about earlier? Well, it wasn't a one-time thing. It's a continuous, repeating cycle. This means the journey of our soul isn't a straight line from point A to point B. It's a constant process of turning, of returning, and of transforming the fire of our own personal trials into the light of divine understanding. And this famous verse just perfectly captures that principle. The return isn't optional, it's inevitable. It's literally woven into the fabric of who we are. We come from the source of all light, and every single experience, every trial by fire, is ultimately a mechanism designed to guide us back home. And so we end on this final thought. According to this really profound reading, when you engage with this text, you're not just reading ancient stories, you are decoding the very operating system of reality. And in doing that, you're actually reading the blueprint for your own soul's journey home. The only question left is, what path will you choose?